Worley, 2417 San Juan Avenue, and I'm here tonight to thank the City Council for your generous support and your willingness to let the young Ameritown on the road use the La Junta Armory. Since March 1st, there have been almost 300 4th, 5th, and 6th graders that have come to On the Road project out at the Armory. And for those of you who may not know what it is, Young Ameritown is the flagship project of the Young America Center for Financial Education in Denver. It's a simulated rural town. There's a grocery store, there's a medical center, there's a TV station, a radio station, there's a bank. There is a print shop, and a newspaper was printed every day. And the 4th, 5th, and 6th graders from these schools, Los Animas, Campo, Pritchett Vilas, Manzanola, Wiley, Springfield, La Junta, Rocky Ford, and Crowley County all came and took part. They'd had curriculum in their classroom before they came to town. They elected a mayor, Joe. They elected a judge. They elected a police officer. And they were assigned, they had to interview for jobs, and they put their uniforms on and went to work. So for the last, from March 1st to the 15th, kids were in the Armory every day, about 50 kids. So there was also a manufacturing facility on the road town, and so you had to order a custom-made briefcase online and pay for it with your debit card. So I took my debit card and paid for 2 custom-made briefcases for the mayor and the city manager, and they're also engraved. So here's one for Mayor Joe, and here's one for City Manager Brad. So thank you very much to the City of La Junta for allowing us to use the Armory. I also want to thank the sponsors. The fiscal sponsors were Colorado Bank and Trust in La Junta Chamber of Commerce, InBank in Wiley and Lamar, People's Credit Union in Springfield, Randall Roberson Agency here in La Junta, Southeast Business Retention, Expansion, and Attractions, Sabria, Southeast Colorado Power, CCOM, and Three Corners Connector helped to get this to La Junta because it was a $15 fee for each student that came. The schools paid $5 a student, and the investors paid the other $10. So anyway, thank you very much. We appreciate it. And here's your custom-made briefcase.
Julie, thank you for being so diligent in bringing that to rural.
Well,
Thank you so much.
You're welcome. Yeah,
Thank you.
it's a fun project. We're hoping to get it back next year, and we'll have more kids there. So
Good.
enjoy your briefcase.
Thank you so much.
Oh, let's see. I'm going to give this to bed.
You need to carry that to all your meetings now. I couldn't ride, but
I have some documents.
thank you.
Did they have any potential city manager?
Let's talk afterwards, yes.
No offense, Brad.
That's all right. It's all good.
They actually had some police officers and judges, too, that you might want to look at. Yeah.
We watched them be sworn in.
Thank you, Julie. Anyone else for citizen participation?
Good evening, Council. I am Brad Patterson, the General Manager of the La Junta KOA and Country Car Rentals. My wife Wendy and I bought our campground started the car rental business 8 years ago now. It's hard to believe. Time has flown. And I had the opportunity to visit with Council in July of that first year. And thanks to the encouragement of Councilwoman Pantoja, after 8 years I've decided to come back and visit with you once more. I want to also thank the Office of Economic Development and the Chamber of Commerce for encouraging us to get into the rental car business. When we bought a campground, we didn't plan on doing rental cars, and here we are 8 years later doing rental cars. And the community has been very welcoming. We've enjoyed a good 8 years in business, enjoyed getting to know many of the local merchants and doing business with them, as well as the city staff, and also been able to participate in the tourism and trails boards. I also want to thank Pam Dennehy in her role as tourism. She's done a fantastic job, and we have certainly seen a lot of growth in our business due to the tarantula visitation. I want to present to you for your consideration an ordinance that would restrict camping on non-residential private property. I have a handout for all of you. Betty, I'll give you my copy.
Thank you. I would appreciate it.
Thank
I was cutting the line. Thank you. Thank you, sir.
Mr. Mayor,
Thank you, Brad.
thank you. Good to see you. What do you know?
And there's a note.
There's a note.
Thank you.
As you'll see in the outline I've distributed to you, we believe that such an ordinance is both necessary and beneficial to the people of Lahana. I want to make it clear that this ordinance is a proposal for the people, not against Walmart, which is where this issue takes place on an almost daily basis. We do shop there ourselves almost daily, spend several thousands of dollars each year with them, and we direct our guests to Walmart every day. It's a 5-minute walk from our campground. We even have a pass-through in our opening in our west fence for the guests to walk to them and the other businesses in our neighborhood that we support. Walmart graciously lets campers camp in about 75% of their parking lots around the country, including the one here in La Junta. And while this might be a nice thing to do, it is not really necessarily a good thing to do, whether at Walmart or any other location in the city not equipped to provide for the electrical, water, or septic services typically necessary for RV customers. Camping on non-residential private property in the city of Lahana has allowed for public health and safety violations to occur, and I believe Mr. Fowler will speak to that here momentarily. It also does nothing to contribute to the local economy in terms of taxes for lodging. It does not improve the lives of the people in the city. Walmart does not want to be the bad guy when it comes to this issue, and I understand that. Their employees do not want to be tasked with asking campers to camp elsewhere. That is why at least 31 municipalities in Colorado have passed ordinances restricting camping in their communities, and we encourage the city of La Junta to be the next to do so. A sample ordinance from the city of Fort Collins has been provided to you that helps you to take the next step. Please note that the sample ordinance does not prohibit over-the-road truckers from sleeping in non-residential private properties. Again, I thank you for your time and your consideration, and I'm happy to take any questions that you might have.
I have one question. During the resurfacing of the Walmart parking lot, did you see an influx of people coming to the KOA?
I'm sorry?
During the recent resurfacing of the Walmart parking lot where they tore it down, went several feet below and resurfaced the entire parking lot, did you see an influx of people?
No.
Okay,
No.
thank you.
It's really other KOA owners. There's 530 KOAs around the country, let alone 14,000 other private campgrounds. And by and large, they will tell you they're not really looking to get people that are sleeping in Walmarts to stay at their campgrounds because you will get lots of complaints about the prices we're charging because they're being able to stay for free as compared to having to pay a fee. I believe it's a safety and health issue, and again, Mr. Fowler, I think, will address that because Walmart is not equipped now to handle campers. They're not set up for that. Now, with that resurfacing, they have put up signs that say no overnight parking, but they're not enforcing it, and they really can't. It's their property, so they can tell people to stay off, but I don't think they really want to get into doing that. I think it's really a matter of having an ordinance in place that can inform the people that might want to stay there and gives the employees at Walmart a little bit of teeth behind it to say, here's why you can't stay here, because it's a city ordinance.
Do you know when they put that sign up by chance? How long it's been there?
Just recently, I believe, because I'm over there a couple times a week, and I had not seen them until here in the past week. And there's 2 signs that they have up.
Yeah, I'd be curious to see if that doesn't deter some, with seeing this sign.
The night a couple nights ago that I saw the sign, what I saw first was the person camping there, and I went over and then saw the signs. And so I called and spoke with the manager there at Walmart, and I said, I see that you have signs up. What's the position on that? And they said, as long as people are not outside their camper having a party, they don't have a problem with it. So I think it would help deter some. But as you may recall, there's a sign right when you come off of 50 on Rogers Road, right before you turn into Walmart, that says no overnight parking. And that's been there for 20 years. And it certainly has not discouraged anybody. All right, thank you for your time.
Thank you, Brad.
You bet.
I have a question. Are there other properties or other businesses that would be impacted if there was a ban on camping in this?
I don't know, I can't say for sure if there's another business or property that would be impacted, but when we talk about camping, the wording has to be very specific. Right now, I don't think any of those municipalities in Colorado are able to enforce their camping bans at the moment because there's a case before the Supreme Court. And until that gets decided, the Supreme Court is the law of the land. And that doesn't just go for overnight camping, that goes for, with homeless setting up tents and stuff all throughout these cities, not just in Colorado, but nationwide. The camping issue has come full force with the rise in homeless people here lately. And while I appreciate Brad and Bob for coming to speak on this, I don't think we're going to be able to do anything until we have a new city attorney to help us draft such language in an ordinance that would be adequate for something like this going forward. That's my opinion, but you guys can listen and make a decision after that.
I 100% agree that we shouldn't even pretend we can think about this without a city attorney. Other municipalities, when the words camping and ban get put together in the same sentence, it's super complicated, and I think you're right. There's already something in the pipeline with the court. So being mindful of that and waiting until we get an attorney.
But I still want to hear what Bob has to say. I'm
Yeah.
not saying not to do that,
No,
but I just don't know what action can come tonight.
Right now, but yeah, we're definitely wanting to
Look at it.
So you can come to the front, Bob.
Okay. 5 minutes, I know, that's hard to do. Anyway, I'm Robert Fowler, and I do live here in Wauhota. This is not a new issue for Brad and I. I've talked about this before, even when Kenny Allen had the old trailer park. And the big issue that I've noticed over the years is, and if you go back and look at EPA things, brown water, gray water. The big thing I don't like to see out there is the fact that they take both those hoses, both the brown and the gray water, put them over in the ditch. That is just disgusting, because they're running their toilets, they're running their showers, and they don't care where they put it on the ground. And so to me, this is an issue. If you go back and look in Fort Collins right now, and I didn't tell Brad, but I've been watching Fort Collins, they have such a homeless issue where they have their homeless camp. They are actually, the city is hauling those campers away because they're dumping their brown and gray water right on the ground by where they have a shelter and their food source on the north side of town. So to me, this is really an issue, and I didn't know there was one at the Supreme Court, but I think it needs to be done. And I've looked at this, even when Kenny Allen at his place, I talked to him long before he sold it and died, that people would come into the Gibson parking lot and they just go off and leave their brown water and gray water in the parking lot. But as you go by there and see the brown waters on the ground when they leave, and some of those people are there for 3 or 4 days, that's disgusting. And then when you see they have both of their hoses going into that ditch, which is both the brown and the gray, that's not appropriate. That's actually a health issue for us as a whole community, because that means it's finally going to hit the river, and that's, your water department has to be very picky what they're doing with the river. So I see it as a major health issue that's gone on for quite some time, homelessness or not. I'm all in favor of an ordinance like this, and I know you might look into what Fort Collins has done, because I have a boy that lives there, and I get the newspaper over on that north end. They're hauling those units out of there because that's what they do. They want to live in there because it's warm, but they're dumping that, again, the brown and the gray water on the ground. You can't do it. Federal government's looking at some of these places that you can go in right now with your camper if it's self-contained, because of the damage to the tundra, of looking that you can't dump your brown water or your gray water on the ground at all, because they've allowed that for a long time. You can go in and find a place to park, well, that's still a fat, fragile tundra. So I see this as can be a major health issue, that if those people don't want to stay someplace to pay for it, you should not allow them to dump those two kinds of water on the parking lot or in that ditch. So I see this as can be a major health issue. If your kids are out there playing and they get playing in that ditch and your kids come up and now they're covered with brown water, how would you think about that? I'd be a little unhappy, to say the least. So whether something's going or not, you might even check with Fort Collins, but this has been an issue that's bothered me for a long time. I just don't like it. You shouldn't do it. It's wrong to start with, and people look at that because they don't want to spend the money. I can't say they're cheap, but they should not do that. Common sense would tell you, you don't dump those two kinds of water on anything that's public, and they do. And you can see them. And some of the people there for 2 or 3 days, those just have to look, and you see those hoses go over into that ditch, and then you can see under where they were. Disgusting. So.
Does Walmart have security out there?
No.
No.
Just cameras, but that's about it. Yeah, and so if they have the signs up, it is an issue. But if you're going to table it, probably I would encourage you to look at this, because this is sometimes go by and you can see we're closer to where Village Inn is. You find those homeless people always looking for money and gas and their kids. When you leave, you can look under there and they leave all their trash and that water on the ground, because a lot of them have those old mobile homes and they're dumped it on the ground, and that's, I just find it absolutely disgusting.
I think Walmart put a no loitering sign on that corner, is that correct? Yeah. But Village Inn hasn't done anything on their corner, so they just basically went right across the street, right?
It's been spray painted over, so.
Oh, so they had one? Village Inn had one?
No,
Oh,
Walmart.
okay.
Yeah, so anyway, that's just my opinion, and this is long before Brad decided to bring this up, and I talked to him, that it's bothered me for a long time. It's just ugly to drive by and see those two hoses into that ditch. This is just absolutely disgusting. And if they're doing it there, they're going to be doing other parking lots, whether it's Safeway, whether it's the new lumberyard, whether it's the old Gibson store. You look around and you're going to find these people doing the same thing in those places. So it's not, to me, it's not just a Walmart issue. This is something that needs to be looked at in the entire city.
Thank you, Bob.
Thank you.
Bob, I don't know if you know or not, what are the property boundaries of Walmart? Because now it seems like them hoses, that they're leaving the parking lot and going into that ditch. I don't know if that is.
I don't know how the drainage goes.
I believe the ditch is still part of their property to a certain extent, and then as it starts coming up to the road, then it changes the property line. So.
And I don't know where it drains to. It goes
I'll find out
under-
for you. I'll find out.
Yeah, and the state worked on that when they put that in, with that drainage that goes down by Highway 50. And the state's worked on that, and it finally will get to the river. So now I can picture, like the rainstorms even we've had recently, somebody has been in there, they couldn't get to the mountains, you could just picture it. There's 3 trailers there, they have their hoses there, then we have the rain or a typical summer flood. Where's it gonna end up? Right down in the river. Disgusting. Absolutely disgusting. So that's just mine that I've watched for a long time. To me, it can be an actual health issue. All right, any questions? Thank you.
Thank you, Bob.
I just have a comment
Okay.
on that. I echo Joe and Maureen's words there. I think the key thing here is going to be language. And when we're talking about those RVs and those types of vehicles as opposed to camping.
Yeah.
So I think,
Well, this
But-
is citizen participation right now, right? So we still can discuss. Yeah.
I just think that's going to be key. So when we get an attorney, those
Well, your
things will be fixed.
semi-drivers, if you look, some of those guys, they have pretty fancy, they have self-contained bathrooms, they have their own little kitchens. They're not really the issue.
Yeah.
Because when they go to the certified truck stops, you see them, they go through and fill up with diesel and they dump that stuff. They're not the ones. These are people that may be on a limited budget to come through. And some of them are probably the homeless, because we've all seen them. They're parked there. They're either they have their kids out there, they have their signs up, need money for gas or whatever, you can go by and you can see it on the ground when they leave, along with all their trash. So it's really, again, when I see those two hoses go in that ditch, that's just disgusting. Because I know what they're putting in there, both the gray and the brown water. And it could be any parking lot in town. That's why this is not just for Walmart, because they're gonna find a way to hide it in other places. But if it is an ordinance, it would have to be any of these big open parking lots that we have.
Thank you,
Okay.
both.
All right, thank you.
Appreciate it.
And then just for clarification, the no camping, you have to have a place that holds, I think, at least 25 beds in order to have a no camping ordinance in your city. That's the one that's in front of the Supreme Court right now. So we would have to have a place to house them, up to 25 of
Like a
them,
shelter
Yes.
or, okay.
if we're gonna say that they can't camp. So that's why, up till recently, we haven't had any type of no camping ban. And I know you're talking about RVs and this is more like for tents and stuff like that, but they consider it all camping right now. So if we can look at language or maybe even say something with the dumping, or it's gonna have to be worded correctly so we don't get in trouble. But that's what we'd have to look at.
Because if you displace them, you have to house them.
Yeah.
And one thing that I will mention though is why there's no direct ordinance or anything right now, there is a law regarding trespassing. So if it's private property and it's posted and they say Walmart doesn't want you there, then call the police department for trespassing. So while we may not have an ordinance, that may be an avenue of approach that could be used because, like I said, trespassing is in the law.
Thank you.
Gary Cranston, I'm a resident. Just a thought about this. We probably have, but we should check and strengthen or enforce ordinance that says you are not allowed to dump sanitary waste anywhere. And that can be instantly taken care of when somebody dumps out there. You post a sign that says sanitary waste disposal is against the law, you'll be ticketed, whatever. That would be a quicker solution than trying to keep people from parking and dumping.
Good idea.
Thank you, Gary.
Thank you, Gary.
Anyone else for citizen participation?
Joe? Are you ready for us?
Not yet.
Just tell us when.
Okay. All right, moving forward, we are going to have some unfinished business. I don't know if you all received this bid agreement mock-up. This was received from the Harris Law Office, Erin Harris. She is actually on spring break this week. She presented this to me late last week while I was on vacation, so I had Mel get this out to you all. There are a couple of different ways we can go about doing this. I want it to be on record that this was, I reached out to 9 different attorneys. Most of them were local. One was given to me by the wonderful Mrs. Julie Worley in the back, from Lamar to Pueblo to even Denver. And we did not have a lot of interest. Okay, we had this one letter. Now, if we were to put this out to bid, okay, we would probably get a lot of interest, but it probably wouldn't be from anyone local. That choice is council's. That's not my choice. I'm not going to make that decision for you guys. But I did talk to Dean to see if this was a job that had to be put out to bid. Dean said as long as I could show that I did my due diligence and looking for more than 3 lawyers, participants, that would be fine to do it this route. If we do go this route, it would be kind of like we did with the interim city manager, where we make a motion to go into contract negotiations. We could talk about the contract, and then Aaron would be willing to be here at the next meeting if we go that route, okay? kind of do a presentation of what we see here, what we may want to change or not. That decision I will leave up to you. If we do go into executive, can we just save it until later on when we go into? That's all I ask.
And so by you reaching out and like he said, doing your due diligence and calling and getting so this is our only one we have to choose from right now, and that is something that you.
I got flat out told no. By 8 other ones I got told maybe from one, and that was if one of the other ones that said no didn't want to do it.
Mm-hmm.
And actually this one actually told me no first. And then she decided to try it.
Okay.
So would we need a special meeting, or you just want to wait till the next city council meeting?
So if we do this, right, I'd like to go into executive for it tonight, just to go over the contract. If we come back out, then we can put her on for the next meeting. That would be the only business that we do after executive, so Adrian knows that we would come back afterwards.
Thank you, Joe.
I'm fine adding this to the list of things we will discuss in executive session at the end of our regular.
You can make that as a motion.
Okay. You want me to do it
If you
right
said
now?
like that.
All right, I will make a motion that we add the city attorney contract to item G on our agenda.
Can you say the name?
Oh, sure, Harris Law Office.
I have a motion, do I have a second?
I'll second.
I have a motion and a second. Any other discussion? If not, I'll ask for your vote. And that passes unanimously. Mrs. Blanco, you and your guests, now it is your time. Come on up to the front. Okay, so you're on the agenda, okay? So I will give you 10 minutes together or 5 minutes each. How do you want to do it?
How about 10 minutes together?
Okay.
So, good evening, Mr. Ayala and council members and Mr. Davidson. My name's Betty Blanco. I live at 14th and Rice here in La Junta. And we're just a few people, me and Angie and then a few more, who we've been talking about, well, other cities have a dog park. Why don't we have a dog park here in La Junta? And we've been sharing ideas. Well, we could have different things in the dog park, and the dogs could have a place to go. And so we started asking for feedback from others in support, and we got plenty of positive feedback. I will admit that we did get some negative, and I'll share that with you. So we wanted to share some of these things with you, and then make a request for 3 things from you. So when we were talking about this, Angie and I came in and talked to Rick Klein, and we found out that you all already have a dog park in your plans, in the future plans. And he sent us over to where you were all thinking about putting the dog park over at the Wickham Addition. So Angie and I went over there and looked, and we were just bowled over because it's huge. And that should give the dogs plenty of room to run and everything. And so we're here to give you our enthusiastic approval for this dog park. And we were really surprised at how expensive the land was. We believe it's a good location for the park. The positive things that we saw in that was that the land is more than 5 acres in size. It has plenty of room to put in a large dog area and put in a small dog area. And we would suggest that the older dogs and the puppies go in with the small dogs area. When we talked with Rick, he was talking about putting a walkway all the way around the perimeter of the park, and that measured out to be around about a half a mile long. So we thought that'd be great for decompressing the dogs before they went into the areas. And it's secluded. It's away from traffic, so you're not going to be having dogs getting run over. And not only that, it's got some trees there already. So, and the cons that we saw is the access to the park. Going across those railroad tracks, it's really in pretty bad shape. It's really kind of difficult to get across those tracks. The road needs to be fixed going across those tracks. And then there's another road that goes under the highway there, and we found a big ditch in there that the car goes down and up, and we thought maybe a culvert can be put in there and then a road put over the culvert, and that'll make it more accessible. The negative feedback that we got from people was, first of all, they don't want their taxes to go to this. So I know there's lottery money, there's different grants and things that maybe we can look into. Another thing, they were worrying about the poo being all over the place, and they were also very concerned about aggressive dogs. And we know there's lots of trainers in the area that could help people teach their dogs not to be so aggressive and help them to acclimate to the dog park. So now we come to the point of why we're here tonight to share with you. First of all, it is our heart's desire that this dog park be named Sirius Memorial Dog Park. If you'll hear this one, this is the one that needs to go around. You want to pass those?
Yeah, I gave him the picture too.
He's got one.
Oh,
Okay.
sorry.
Maybe he could just, okay, there you go, now we got it going. So Sirius was a K-9 police officer. He was badge number 17. He was killed in New York City on 9/11 when the South Tower collapsed on him. Sirius and his partner David Lean did bomb detection for the Port Authority on the World Trade Center. When the first plane hit in the North Tower, David Lean thought that a bomb had gone off. And so he told his dog, his police partner, "Oh, it looks like a bomb got past us." So since Sirius was a bomb detection dog and not a search and rescue dog, he went and put Sirius in his kennel, which was in the Port Authority office, which was in the basement of the South Tower. And then he went to the North Tower to start evacuating people out of the North Tower. And that's when the South Tower fell. And David Lean came down as fast as he could to get back to his dog. And he met up with Jay Jonas, Chief Jay Jonas, and some other firemen that were evacuating people. And when that South Tower went down, they all decided to get out of the North Tower. So they went down stairwell B. They met up with a woman named Josephine. And she had an injured leg from a car accident. So they went very, very slowly trying to help her down. She got down to the 4th floor, and that was it. She wasn't going to go anywhere farther. And they were all stuck with her right there, and the whole North Tower came down around them. Chief Jay Jonas says that the whole building peeled around them like a banana. So they spent 5 hours alive in that rumble. They didn't know that the whole tower had come down. But after 5 hours, there was a light that came in to where they were at. They were like in a cave, it was dark in there, and this light came in. And they said, "Why is there a light coming in when they're 110 stories above us?" Well, there wasn't. And when they saw that light, they started to climb out, and then they were all rescued. But they spent 5 hours under there. So David Lean, when he got out, he rushed back to the South Tower, hoping to get his K-9 partner out. And he was barred from going in. So he couldn't go in to save his dog. Sirius was found several months later on January the 25th. He was covered with one of David Lean's shirt. So when they found the dog, they thought, we just found a human being, but it wasn't. It was the dog. So they stopped all traffic at all the work at Ground Zero. They called for David Lean to come pick up his canine partner. They put him on a stretcher, covered him with the American flag, and carried him out while they saluted him on the way out. And they saluted this dog, they honored this dog because he was a police officer. And I would like for us to honor this dog as well by naming this park Sirius Memorial Dog Park. Then I would like to see a statue of Sirius put out in front of the dog park with some signage to tell his story. And then I know on Facebook there is so many people that they cry because they lost their little canine furry buddies. And it hurts when you lose somebody like that, especially, you know, a lot of times that's your little kid when you have a little dog. So I was thinking it would be really nice if you all could put up a monument and then people could put their fur-line companions' names on the monument. So, lost my place. I haven't even
You
looked
got
at
1
it.
minute, Betty.
1 minute?
1 minute.
Okay, go ahead.
Okay. Good evening, Mr. Alaya, sorry if I said it wrong, and Mr. Wilson and council members. My name is Angie Davis, and I am a radio talk show host of Veterans of the Valley on our local radio station, Lightning 1400. I am also with the American Legion Auxiliary. I'm the District 1 president and Unit 9 president, and also a certified canine specialist. I agree with Miss Betty Blanco has said, and I would like to add some things. We are guesstimating the total of the dog park could be astronomical, but there would be no need to break the bank if we used recycled materials. And we also have fancied a green dog park using solar power and artwork from recycled materials. You can use tires, PVC to make shapes and stuff with that. Recycled materials from the recycle center, we've already found quite a few there, and there are also various generous sources willing to be part of this worthy cause through grants and scholarships. And I am also a board member of an organization called Trinity Tree Corps, which is a veteran-ran Colorado nonprofit, and I can have them donate trees for the dog park in honor of our local veterans as well. And we recognize the development of a successful dog park requires a great deal of planning and effort, and on the other hand, we are confident that the Lahaina Dog Park project would be a success and a valuable asset to our community through the dedication and combining our ideas. Surely we can gain the ultimate reward of enjoying a special place where dogs and their families can have fun and socialize. A happy, tired dog is a happy home.
Thank you. Brad, do you want to take over real quick?
Sure. This afternoon, Ms. Blanco came and visited with me for a little bit. I did talk with Brock Hinkhouse from the recreation side, and yes, they're in the master plan, like I explained. There was talk about a dog park, but it rated as a lower priority, just like what we were talking about, but it is on the plan. Like I expressed to Ms. Blanco too, that with it being a lower priority, we do have other things that would be ahead of it, but it would be something that the council is very happy to listen to and we can take into consideration. This would be nothing that could happen right overnight, as you guys probably are aware too, due to budget. And with the passing of the 1%, we have to kind of beef up some things before we can get some bigger projects, but this is information that's well passed on for the council to think about, and we could maybe do some other ideas down the road.
And I do know that when we talked to Rick Klein, that like a bathroom would they said would be an issue because of the homeless wanting to stay in there and everything. So I suggested like a porta potty. Who wants to stay in a porta potty?
Well, I can tell you right now with the porta potties around that are being used on our city property, they're targets of being tipped over lately and vandalized.
Being tipped over?
Yeah.
Oh, wow.
And it's starting to add up. So,
Yeah.
I mean, it's another thing too, but we do, I mean, I do, especially from my point of trying to make sure the budget stays good and everything for the time. It is on the program, or it is on the master plan, just kind of a lower priority right now, but it is something that at least is there.
Yeah, we definitely would like to be part of that. We have
Yes,
some really
we would.
great
Sure.
ideas.
I would like to say that I used to be on the Parks and Rec Board, and I'm pretty proud of that, and I think we did some wonderful things when I was on the board. I had to quit to go to work for Bent's Fort, so
Yep.
but that kind of cut it short.
Yeah.
So.
But it is
I would
on
like
the-
to work along with them.
Sure, and it is in the master plan, and Brock verified that for me, so.
And as far as I know, that Rick was thinking of that area, but we haven't secured that as a location. So I'm glad you guys like it, but that wasn't ever.
Yeah,
Um,
the information that was passed on to me was, it was talked about, nothing secured.
Where is the Wickham addition?
Over behind the Shell service station, or the Wallace Oil service station.
Off of First Street.
Off of First Street. That goes back to the Lewis Bolt building.
The anchor plant there.
Yeah, the
Got it.
anchor plant.
There was new
They used-
addition now with
Yeah,
them.
used to be housing,
Okay.
there used to be housing back there.
Okay.
Yes, and do not go under that bridge, Betty, if it's been raining or snowing. You will not make it out.
That's
I promise.
Or if she goes missing, we'll know where she is.
Yes, she's looking at Wickham New Edition. But thank you guys for your work on this.
Thank you, guys.
And we'll be in touch to see how we move forward, okay?
Thank you.
Appreciate you guys.
Oh, my favorite liquor licenses. All right, first liquor license is the application for renewal of a lodging and entertainment liquor license by Vance Owen LLC, doing business as the Fox Theater, 11 East 3rd Street. All fees have been paid, all supervisors have signed off, and everything's in good standing, and council recommends favorable consideration. Oh, I'm sorry, not Yes. No, well, we'll see if we can hear it or not. No, I didn't write it down. Hopefully this is my last time doing this.
I'll move approval.
Thank you for the
Sure.
motion. And the second, any other discussion? Okay, I'll ask for your vote. And that passes unanimously. I'm gonna make sure that if we get a new attorney, they understand all of this. Right? The second one is for application for renewal of a hotel and restaurant liquor license by Mexico City Cafe, doing business as Mexico City Cafe, 1617 Raton. All fees have been paid, all supervisors have signed off, and we recommend, or who recommends?
You recommend.
I recommend favorable consideration on this.
I make a motion for approval of Mexico City.
I'll second.
Have a motion and a second. Any other discussion? If not, I'll ask for your vote. That passes unanimously. Third one, application for renewal of a hotel and restaurant liquor license by Farguson LLC, doing business as Boss Hog Saloon and Restaurant, 808 East 3rd Street. All fees have been paid, all supervisors have signed off, and I recommend favorable consideration.
I'll make the motion.
I'll second.
I have a motion and a second. Any other discussion? If not, I'll ask for your vote. And that passes unanimously. All right, next is we're looking at a resolution authorizing the sale of real property, 1521 Grace Avenue. Did everyone get that in their packet?
Yeah.
Okay.
So, yeah, I'll make the motion before we have conversation. I'll make the motion authorizing the sale of real property at 1521 Grace Avenue.
I have a motion. Do we have a second?
I'll second.
I have a motion and a second, and I think we're going to have some discussion.
Well,
Yes.
just to, making it clear to folks, this is still part of the the cleanup from the EPA asbestos blight, not blight, but the cleanup. Yeah, blight, different than the other kind. The other one we'll talk about in a bit. But anyway, so it's just a continuation of the same properties that we had sold, yeah.
That's how
at the
we
last
acquired
meeting.
it.
Yes, absolutely. Any other discussion?
I was absent last week, of course, but Joe brought up some information that I had pertaining to some of this. The process, if we can determine that process and who's, like, where, if that's a permanent process, we can make changes to that. The reason I bring this up is because the property, like the 218 Harriet property, besides all the legwork that we did in that, afterwards there was some backfill and some tree cutting and those types of things that occurred, and I want to make sure that we're getting our money back for that.
And on that one, Damon, that lot was, when that house was built there, then it was divided into a half lot, so it wasn't a complete lot once they tore that house down. So that's why that price was a little lower on that one, from my understanding what was passed on to me.
Okay, well, so what I did is I contacted a local realtor and I gave him a list of these properties, and I'll tell you that we sold that property for $500, and now I know we're probably not going to get what's on the open market, but that property was estimated at $2,500. Okay, the other property sold from $1,500 to $2,500. One property would be listed at about $5,000. Another one $8,000 to $10,000, and the Edison and Lewis ones were both $8,000 to $10,000, and we secured maybe $1,500 out of those properties. So that's my concern with this process is that maybe we're not getting our money back out of these properties. Like I said, I know specifically that we did some tree cutting and some backfilling, and if there's grant work to reimburse us for that, then, okay, $500. I mean, that property went to the right person, I believe, so that's not a question in my mind, but
For future, we want to make
for
sure.
future
we're doing
references, I think if that opportunity occurs, that, I don't know if we can set
Like a minimum?
a minimum on those
yeah.
and that type of deal, because I feel like there's, we're not trying to make money, but we're trying to recoup what we put into those, that grant work, any work that the city is doing to aid in that, that we may not be getting back, that would be a way to secure those funds,
So, Mr. Mayor, what I could do is have Martin Montoya, the city engineer, look into that a little more through the EPA side, if there's any extra back, from moving on forward. And then, I guess when we get a new city attorney, to see if we can set a limit of, or a base.
Sure.
At a minimum price or whatever.
Yeah.
Because it
Lots
does
would
go
have a
out
different
for.
base, I'm guessing.
Yeah, it does go out to bid and for an RFP, but that's.
And I got a lot of comments on the wording on the bids too, like they didn't quite understand even when they saw it in the paper or online,
So that's something we
what
could
that
probably-
was for. So we want to make it easy for them to understand that, hey, this is property that you can bid on. And
So we can work with the new city attorney too to make sure we get the right wording too.
Very good.
Possibly
Yeah.
the thing called a reserve when you're bidding or auction, so there's a minimum bid.
if it doesn't meet it,
It
then
doesn't mean it.
Yeah, the wording now for the closed envelope bids, it says that the city may or may not accept the lowest bid. It's at the discretion of the city. So I think it's just a matter of tightening up our process and making sure that we know where our floor is, so. I think that's good.
I don't know if we could somehow, this is a question for our future city attorney, if we could somehow put a stipulation with the purchase of that lot that you maintain it, that it doesn't become an overgrown weed lot, or, so, I don't know if that's possible. Again, we're dealing with private property once we sell it, but sure. I guess that's why we need an attorney.
that might be like Yale law, I don't know. Cornell. All right, back to the motion. Any other discussion? If not, I'll ask for your vote. And that one passes unanimously. All right, committee and board reports. Does anyone have any committee and board reports?
I attended the first meeting of the month or the only meeting of the month for the Senior Center Advisory Committee. And again, I guess the biggest takeaway was probably that they're going to table once again the decision whether to make it available for rental. They're weighing the options and seeing what they can do with that. And one of those options may not be that it's available for rental, so they're still in discussions about that. And it's nice to report that there's an abundance of activities going on, and the Tai Chi class has just exploded. And that's probably because healthcare providers are telling mostly senior men that it's great for your balance, probably great for senior ladies too, for your balance and overall healthy well-being. So it's nice to see that it's being utilized even more. And I was surprised to hear that we have people coming for the quilting class as far away as from Pueblo, because they don't have that in their area. So that's something that's kind of neat to have in our area. But thank you.
John?
Thank you, Paul. Any other committee and board reports? City manager comments.
Yeah, I've got a few more this time, not very, I'm not gonna go through all of them. One of the processes I did change was going to once a month supervisors meeting, and then the supervisors just send me information throughout the month of what's going on. One was under wastewater. They're gonna be doing an update on their SCADA system, which is at the RO plant, updating all the computer system and everything like that for their process. They're gonna be upgrading a 20-year plus old system, so it's gonna be great. But starting March 25th, next Monday, going through the 27th. So it's gonna take them a couple days. So they are asking people to kind of limit the use of outside water, car washes, maybe irrigating a little bit, because it's going to slow down the process without their computers of them being able to process. They'll be able to keep up with certain amounts, but just something from Tom at the water department. But that's good that they finally got this secure to get this system up and get it updated, and hopefully increase the process out there. Street departments, one big project that's going to be coming up pretty quick is out in front of Van Hook's nursery on 3rd Street. They found that the storm line, or the storm sewer line under there, has collapsed kind of by his parking lot underneath the ground. So they're gonna have to tear that up real quick and get that replaced, so there's no more collapsing further, maybe out onto the road or maybe closer to the business. So that's kind of a top priority right now for the streets. And then you might have seen too that they're starting to work on a few alleys of the approaches coming off the street into there on 5th Street between Cimarron and Smithland. There's 3 or 4 alley accesses that were already in the budget for this year to be worked on, and they started that this week. So you'll see that a little bit. Parks Department, from Brock, they're still doing some work over at Brick and Tile. You'll see some things coming in. I know they just put a big order in for a bunch of trees that will be going in along the trail. A sod, big order of sod for the big grass area that they're going to put in next to the park area. Be able to use for maybe t-ball practice, soccer, people to play on, things like that. So that's a plus. So there is still some process going on. They did also install some ballards on the path itself to kind of detour golf carts, electric vehicles, motorized vehicles, whatever, so they can't get down the park in a few places. So they installed some of those. And then also they're still installing a few more benches and a few more dog parking or dog areas with trash cans and stuff like that. So there's still going to be some work going on, but they're in the process there. Baseball fields, Potter, Tippy, and 22nd are all starting to be used very heavily starting this last week. College is playing softball and baseball, and then of course the high school is taking use of Big Potter. And the nice thing is those teams are taking care of the fields. So it's kind of taking a load off of the city guys, which has been great. And they're doing a great job taking care of the fields, making them look good. And I noticed tonight at Tiger Field, or at Potter Field, they're adding a kind of a thing along the fence to kind of keep people from watching out, through the fence. But it says Tiger Baseball in the outfield and stuff. Really classies it up out there. Nice. And then, of course, getting ready for soccer. And the last one I have, the fire department, my deputy chief came to me. Everybody knows that there's a lot of sickness going on right now, influenza, respiratory problems. we have seen a huge increase in calls over the last week and a half. Just over the weekend, we ran 29 calls just for medical in 3 days, because a lot of people are pretty sick. So just kind of keep that in mind. If you're starting to get sick, take care of yourself, maybe get some extra fluids and stuff in you, but that's what's going on around the city right now, and everything's going good and smooth.
Thank you.
Thank you, Brad.
Thank you, Brad.
You know, Brad has done an amazing job. He hit the ground running. He's put out a whole bunch of small fires.
You know, it's been fun. It's been fun so far.
Different type of firefighting.
Different type of firefighting. I'm not throwing water on it. They get a little disturbed if I throw water on them. But you know, people have been really good to work with. Everybody's been very supportive, and it's been a good change right now.
Good.
I can tell right now the atmosphere and the boost in everybody has been pretty good, and they're really eager to see what's going to happen down the road.
Good.
Thanks.
Thank you.
Brad has worked very well, staying in contact and making sure that I'm not in the dark.
That's
So I
right.
appreciate
Communication.
that.
Communication.
I did want to mention that me and Brad and Chief Quick did meet with Lahana Housing Authority to follow up kind of on what Mr. Cordova came to speak about. And one of my major takeaways from that was, you know, she said we want to look forward and not backwards. And, you know, maybe we weren't doing everything on both ends right in the past, but we want to move forward on how to work together.
Yeah. And Chief Quick and I and the mayor also talked and came to an agreement that once a month they will pull incident calls and have it available for those places. It'll be back onto those places to come in and get them, because I feel that we don't need to waste that time of trying to track them down. But if they want that information, it'll be available at the end of each month.
That's good.
Yeah. Or as their request.
And it's going to be a partnership, so it has to work both ways. So we hope to move forward with them and anyone else too that wants to help us out on that issue. All right, governing body comments. Any governing body comments?
I have a few. I have a few things. So a couple of weeks ago, right after our last meeting, on Tuesday the 5th, and that whole week, the Arkansas River Basin Water Forum was in town, and that was an excellent event. And I was able to talk to Tom Seba during the event, and he offered again to do a tour for city council members of both water treatment and the water department in La Honda. And I was hoping he was here so I could remind him that I heartily take him up on that. And I would encourage all of us to do that. I think we'll be able to ask better questions and understand. I think there's a lot coming through the pipeline, if you will, that I think there's a lot that we all need to understand. I also was super inspired. Greg Felt, Chaffee County Commissioner, gave the keynote and talked a little bit about the process of Envision Chaffee County that they went through, of finding shared experiences for everybody to get behind. And just as we're kind of trying to figure out, I feel like we're at a bit of an inflection point and trying to figure out maybe what some of our aspirations are. A very thorough and inspiring process that we don't have to reinvent the wheel. I think there's some good things that have gone on. So that was one event, and then the EPA Brownfields grant kind of got kicked off, the public portion of it on Wednesday the 6th. It was for property and business owners in the downtown area. Super exciting. Martin is doing a great job leading that process, but just trying to address, again, the blight, and but really through the lens of how do we clean up some of the messes, but moving towards a healthier, better developed downtown. So look forward to hearing more from Martin about that process as well. And then quick 3 things that are going on at Otero in the next couple of weeks that I think would be fun for everybody to know about. We have some students who have taken on teaching Spanish classes on Mondays and Wednesdays from 4:30 to 5:30 in the Learning Commons. It's free. It's been very well attended. It's a couple, it overlaps with my world, that some of them are international students, one from Spain, one from Colombia. People ask me, are they teaching Mexican Spanish or Spanish? And so anyway, they're from Colombia and Spain, but it's been a lot of fun. So stop by Monday, Wednesday 4:30 to 5:30 in the learning commons, but not this week, we're on spring break.
No.
The 68th Annual Arts Festival, I just think kind of one of the coolest things that happens on campus, and every spring is the first week of April, so I think it's starting that Tuesday night, the art gallery is open, so if folks want to stop by and see that. And then the Rattler Run, if Spanish and art aren't your thing, you can come and do the Rattler Run on April 6th. So something for everybody going on at Otero College. That's all I got.
I think Bob's gonna have the time to beat for the Rattler Run.
Yeah.
We'll see.
I just can't wait to see what you wear. All right.
Any other governing body comments?
Just that Chandra and I went to the Young Ameritown on the road, and I got to see the kids in action. They were pretty serious about what they were learning, and I thought it was a great experience for them, and they'll remember it, I'm sure. And maybe they'll school some people they know now on financial literacy. That's it.
Speaking of Parks and Recs, this was something that we talked about. We'll need to verify it, but they were looking at a decrease in fees for sporting. I think baseball may have been the first sport to kick into that, so they dropped it from 50 to 40. So for the public out there, it's a good thing, and some of that is due to the 1% helping, get back on track. But that's something that they spoke on. I think baseball was the first to do that, so those fees have decreased.
I think that's right. Yeah, Brock and I were talking this morning about a lot of other things, but that was brought up, and I think you're right. It is baseball where they're going to look at doing that.
Man, why couldn't it have been soccer?
But and a lot of times people don't understand this, that the city's not trying to make money on this. But when you have referees that are kind of, charging a lot of money, I'm just kidding.
Yeah.
You have your refs, you have your scorekeepers in certain ones, you have, all these other different things, fields, upkeep. We know it's hard when you have 4 kids or even 2 kids to pay these higher fees. So we're going to try and work as best we can, but we still have to cover costs and work within our budget and have something for the kids. So it's a balancing act, but we're trying our best. And Brock and the rec board does a great job.
They do. And I know last week was the last couple of days of sign up for soccer, and the people, they were like running up here at 4:30 that last day.
Nice.
And hey, I gotta get them. And I think we even left the door open one day right at 5 because there was still a couple pulling up. So we're trying to get everybody in that we can.
Yeah. We were even going to have Deb Fraker come back just for some soccer registration.
Yeah.
Soccer registration awareness.
Any other governing body comments? I will not adjourn us because we need to go to executive. We're going to talk with Larry Gilly with SGR, and we're also going to talk about the city attorney. There may be business afterwards, Adrian, so if someone wants to read. Yeah, it's on this agenda.
I'll make a motion to go into executive session for the purpose of determining positions relative to matters that may be subject to negotiations, developing strategy for negotiations, and or instructing negotiators under CRS 246402-4E, and that is SGR, and now added the Harris Law Office.
Yes.
Okay, I have a motion. Do I have a second?
I'll second.
Motion in 3 seconds. Any other discussion? If not, I'll ask for your vote. And that passes unanimously. Thank you all for coming out tonight.